Welcome, Google worker. Hope I'm not keeping you up too late. I imagine you work second shift to check me out. I didn't get that. That's who's always there was a Google worker, but welcome. I hope you are doing well. Derek, what's happening? So this is the Chocolate Mountain Show. I am your host, Eight Wind. It's timeless. Hey, the one. That's right, Aggie Pride. It all starts with a gentle sadness. I am the holder of the sacred ball game of the Hero Twins. I am the galactic daddy-o sitting on my galactic patio from Minnesota to the universe. And we are definitely right here tonight on this beautiful Saturday morning. You know, when they start releasing, actually they start releasing the Saturn energies to attack people Thursday night. And so the energies peak about 24 hours from now. We'll see those negative Saturn energies trying to affect you, make you do negative things that you wouldn't normally do. Oh, but we're going to have a short commercial. And this is a local company, Excelsior Brewing Company, with their Bitter Schoppel. So pop them if you got them. Smoke them if you want them. I got the milk jug. It's been a very entertaining evening. Super Sly got done. He's been humping today. I was just listening to Sister Tasha. Had to get some people off her because, you know, Tasha's just the sweetest person. And I mean, she's talking about some things and maybe people under like, but it's like you trolling her. How 5 or 6 people gonna give her thumbs down? I mean, that makes no sense. So they thought they was talking to somebody else, but I backed up. But I had to tell them, you know, you want to send arrows in mine? Because I tell them, I'll send them arrows in your dreams. But you want to bring arrows to my dreams, you better expect a bazooka waiting. So, but you know, we got a lot of tough dudes. This makes a lot of people tough. Did you ever freeze your glass before you pour your brew? I have. I learned Chili's. No, Chi-Chi's. Chi-Chi's used to be one of the restaurants that was good about that. They always brought you a chili mug. But I don't think nothing else will fit in my freezer. I don't even think that I don't even think of glass. But yeah, I've done that before. These parts of calcite, you can freeze these. You can put these in the freezer. And you can freeze these and get these cold, and then they do the same effect. Yep. Hey, Dread. Thank you for but these black marble or calcite is technically calcite. These do the same thing. You chill these, you keep these in the freezer, and then they keep your drinks a little colder. You can get a shungite that does the same thing. And this is from the TNR rum. No, I think it's whiskey. And they come with these. So I got a bunch of them. I got a new one in the pack. But that's what those will do. You freeze those, and then those will do the same thing. And as always, I also blow big stacks, as you know. Good enough. Today is interesting. You know, they're taking people out, and they're taking them out by the numbers. These people probably been dead already, and they wait for these numbers to add up. That's how they always have done it. They wait for the perfect numbers. It's the same thing as when people are born. If these people are chosen, they might not report your given birth. Like Lamar up in Baltimore. They changed his birthday when he won the Heisman Trophy. His birthday was the same as Muhammad Ali's, and then now he has a different birthday. So how is that? You know, how does this birthday change like that? A public figure, mind you. his birthday has changed. But his birthday, when he was winning the Heisman his first couple years at Louisville, it said he had the same birthday as Ali. Is Numite crystal expensive? It's funny you say that. This is my big wand. I want to say I had to order this. The little one I have, which should be right here. Yeah. Now this one I got from my crystal shop. And before I broke the point, I carried it all the time. See, I dropped it on my keys in my pocket and broke the point off. But this one was probably less than 10, maybe 5 or so. But I got this from my crystal shop. And this is my big wand. Now, I did send for this less than 20, I believe. But this stuff comes from Australia. So it only comes from Australia. Maybe New Zealand, like with the green stone, which is a better example. You can see the gold in it. And I picked this up and I meditated with it, and it really, really hits hard. Now, I wore, I put, like, if you put something like this on your third eye when you meditate, but I put all the crystals, all my Zoolites and my Hickory diamond, I put them in my hat. So I have crystals in this hat. I'm going to put this one in a little better. And so now for I call it a third eye clarifier. So I put them in my hat now. And normally this one doesn't really, this one will, if you build a type of selenite wand, like you put different crystals on top of this, then this would work. But normally this wants to be like, you couldn't harmonize with this. This tends to just want to be, oh my goodness, my computer's going to die. This tends to want to be by itself. So no, that wasn't terribly expensive for that piece. But again, I bought this 5 years ago, so hard to say. And I just might visit the crystal shop tomorrow because I might be going that way. I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet. So, hey, James, thank you for joining. Hey, PJ, appreciate your talk. You're so much better than any cable. Thanks, Jay. Hey, Shondell, thank you for joining me. And so this is, I wouldn't think terribly. I don't think I might have spent 20 on this. I don't think I got this from Heaven and Earth, either eBay or Amazon, maybe. But I think I did have to order this piece. The light's not really doing it any justice. This has a lot of gold flakes in it. But it's a good, like if you really, okay. So if you really aren't sure about protection, this would give you a lot of protection. And I mean protection on moving through. If you move through and aren't really sure, this would definitely give you some protection in moving through. That is why they call this the sorcerer's stone or the shaman stone, whatever you want to call it, because this is a good companion. And not only that, this will also help you, because the problem is, like I know a lot of people say, when can I leave my body? When can I astral project? But you could be given those experiences and you wouldn't remember what you experienced. Like if any names was given to you, the fractals are given to you, you might not remember them. This kind of thing would help you remember them. So it would be kind of work double duty for you. It's like a cartoon where a flute or something is floating and the person is like going on their quest and they have something kind of leading them. This would almost be like that. It'll almost kind of walk ahead of you a little bit. It will kind of give you a little bit of that. At least that's the feeling I get with it. Yeah. But in the wintertime, well, I bought my big piece of sugarite is more than enough. And sometimes I get to carrying so much that it weighs you down because it's just too much. But this, I've carried this. Hey, Brisk, thank you for joining me. So okay, so Chandel says, I just went yesterday and got some nice selenite sticks and incense. Okay, very nice. Is a natural or accidental death the best way to start the spirit world journey? Well, the problem with accidental death is you might really be caught Like when the Matrix, when he's in the train station and he's caught, because sometimes it's hard to believe you're dead and you would stay there unless somebody helped you pass through. That's the problem with accidental death. But if you've lived your truths, and so natural death is accepting it, because again, the moment we're born, we start to die. I mean, that's a reality. People may think, you're born and you have the rest of your life in front of you, but in fact, the moment you're born, you start to die. That's just how this thing works. Good morning. It's a gorgeous morning here in Milwaukee. It just got done storming. You can journey it now. Good point. Good point. What's happening? Hey, Lorenzo. Good point. Chanel. Astral projection is answer to all my personal opinion for those of us who truly do it, and we still have the ability. Yeah, and again, I'm not going to mention what I was again moving with this earlier, and was given another czar move. I told one divineness, I'm not going to tell everybody this, but I was given another part of moving in the czar that I know I teach a lot of going through the hallways and then you see the doors, but this was something like, yeah, I've been waiting for this. So, and that's, again, remembering what you experience, remembering what you experience. Number 5 is like the perfume. Have you ever considered creating a Patreon? I think I did. I have to relook. I think I did a year or so ago. Never really did it. But yeah, I think I did a year or so ago. I'd have to relook it up. Hey, woke. Why are they trying to humiliate Curry? Well, that's what they do, is they lift players up and then they knock players down. I mean, we're seeing the brother Watson go through that right now. They gave him the $180 million and now they're tearing him down, if you see. Oh, yeah. Thank you for joining me. And Chanel, thank you for joining me too. Are all the souls on the planet now reincarnated? Not the ones that didn't agree to it, not the ones that didn't go to the light. That's the ones that they want to reincarnate, the ones that make that agreement to go into the light. Like on Boob Whisper, just go into the light, Johnny, just go into the light. Those are the ones. But I'll say this, and this is old knowledge here, is there are people that want to help humanity. So they agree to come back, and they understand their role is over and over again trying to help humanity. So they use the system to try to help humanity. So it takes a lot of work. Yep. What happens if we don't go into the light? Well, you can create your own reality. It's like, I don't know if I can find it, but it's like going to the source. And I don't know if I can find it, but it talks about going to the source, and how's it put? Because it's in this book, it's in the Gnostic Bible, but it's like you get to go to the source and you get to be a note. Okay, didn't mean to knock my book down like that. And you can become a note. So you get to play the infinite tune. That's what happens. You get to be a part of that infinite sound that goes through space-time. And it's like this. Every person wants to be a planet. Every planet wants to be a galaxy. So these are steps that you can be allowed. First, you become your own planet. I mean, that's what Mu was. I mean, Mu took her lover, the water, and then their children was the air and the fire. So, she started as the thing we live on, which the illusion is on top of, started just like us. And so that is the possibilities. Talking about light, can we go to the dark? Yeah, exactly. Where would you go? They're 1,000 years old. We are thousands of years old. You heard you earlier talking about light. Can we go to the dark? Exactly. We can go to the dark. You are God. Just know that you and only you control your soul. That's it. Unless you sell it. Yep. I would rather experience life on earth and be a part of the one again. There you go. You can go wherever your conscience takes you. There you go. That's it. It's wherever. I mean, that's why, you don't want to go into the illusion, because what can happen in illusion is, again, you can build this whole big heaven, what you consider heaven. And I've said this many times. And so one day you're just enjoying all this heaven that you created. And then all of a sudden you seeing somebody eat your heaven. And before you know it, the heaven you've created has been eaten by this being, and you're just stuck. And what will happen is you'll join the next thing that's going on. You might even join the thing that ate your heaven. So, but it's best to be your own planet. Okay, I'm seeing what I thought I heard the door knocking. It's my cat. So it's best to be your own. It's best to be in your own heaven. You can become a source. That's the thing. You can become the source, and whatever would come off of you. But you have the right to go. Well, this is getting into Wes Paneri's work a little bit. You have the right to go to the central sun, to the center of the galaxy, of the center of the real universe, not just our galaxy, the center of the real universe with the real sun, the thing that they tried to block before 2012 because they didn't truly understand the science. So heaven is a state of mind, not a place. Oh, exactly. What was the song? When you met someone, heaven right here on earth. When you met a woman, is heaven right here on earth? Or what did Edgar Allan Poe say? I didn't know heaven until I looked into her eyes. So heaven can be a moment. But that's what I always loved about Edgar Allan Poe. I did not know heaven until I looked into her eyes. So heaven can be a moment. Falling in love can feel like heaven, because it's just the idea of bliss, where bliss has come from. Hey, brother Edward. Why is there so much attention given to Mars? And has anyone really traveled outside of this planet? Cash App, don't stab, Pastor. Okay, Edward. Islam, Rocky, thank you for joining. Astral Realm is real. That's here. Yeah, I astral project often. It's addicting. It is. Yeah, it can be. It is. It's I've talked about that many times. Getting into the ethers, getting into the astral. Yeah, I mean, you some points is almost like when I talk about flat plane and going to the illusionary world. Some try to tie fourth dimension into time, and it ain't really time. Time does have its own dimension. It's not fourth dimension though, but it's almost like the flat plane. Again, it's nothing but an illusionary world, because there's no, as I explained before, there's no true down or up. It's just under and on top. So kind of the same thing. It is. It's using your own consciousness to go beyond without the physical body. Now I deal more with going to the Zara, because I find for me it's more of a way to move, especially with this time control. It's a way for me to move back and forward a little easier than trying to astral project to do it, or even doing it through the ethers. It's a little easier for me. I find it superior, actually. There's no such thing as time. Don't know if I agree with it. It's not like Hanukkah is the giver of movement and measure. And so anytime something moves, it can be measured. And so that's time. Just movement can be measured. So no matter how you move, you can measure it. It's something that can measure it. It's something. I understand what you're saying, Chanel. And the way they do it now is illusionary, because it's the illusionary time that we run off of, because time is never a circle. It's a straight line. I mean, time is a straight line that can be back and forth. It can be back and forth. Hey, Mr. T, thank you for joining. Cut down illusion with the art of silence and the sword of meditation. Earlier, what did you mean by saying Lucifer is not in the Bible? Yeah, that's not a name in the Bible. That is not a name in the Bible. If you go into the original Latin, if you read it, that's in the original Latin. And let me put my brother's name out there, and he does a show on it. Let me make sure I say his name right. but he did a show on it, and he studies this. And you can find that it is not talking about Lucifer. This is what they did. When they came over here, they took the first thing they ask is, where are your goods? Where are your gods? Where are your goods? And then they started seeing all this stuff. And so the Goetians come from the Americas. And if you study them, you see where they put the blocks and the crosses on them. My brother's writing a book to try to undo all this. And this is why all this stuff was given to John Dee first. And then what they did is they put crosses and they locked all these beings. And this is what they fear. They fear that stuff coming. That's why they hate Solomon so much. And that's why they do mocking of Solomon. Let me get my brother's name out here, but he does a video that you can get. Here it is. Return of Thoth, Merlin, and the Serpent. They've taken his channel down so many times. I'm not sure if that program is on there. I'd have to ask him, but it might be. And he tells you the real name. The real name is not Lucifer. The real name was actually a Babylonian king. And the Babylonian king had made a deal with the Jewish faith people. And then once he came into power, he reneged on them. And hey, James, thank you. Our language doesn't have the words. No. Well, English is a blocking language. That's another part of it, Chanel. English is a total blocking language. It is not meant for you spiritually. That is why a lot of these concepts a lot of people can't even overstand or even understand them, because the English language is not meant for you to be spiritual. Yep, I agree. Hey, James, thank you for joining me. Overstand Mocha, hey. Yes, Overstand, I'm doing well. Even God in the Bible acknowledges there's other gods. He says that those shall put no other God before me. Everyone should read the Emerald Tablets. Oh, okay. Well, that goes into Yadabath. Yadabath being born by Sophia, and then Yadabath not seeing anything above him, but seeing everything below him. And he's manifesting, he's creating all this out of nothing. And he's like, I must be God, because there's down there, they can't do what I'm doing. There's nothing above me. My mother's kind of left me. Sophia kind of left him. And so he's the one that's the jealous God that only believe in the God that's me. I mean, that turns later into Marduk or Bala Marduk. But yeah, that goes into Yadabath and Sophia. Yeah. Lucifer is a cult code name for Anubis. God spelled backwards. God is good, spelled backwards. But I mean, when you say God, again, that is a German person that lived. And I've said this for years. I mean, you find that is, you can look that up. Anybody wants to Google it, Google God, and it'll come up Gould, Gould. That was a real person, supposedly related to Odin. At least that's the story. He survived some kind of catastrophe, and he thinks he must be God. And that's a German word, and it's a German word too. And so when you say, I've told this story before of talking to not just World War II vets, but Vietnam vets. And when a person gets shot and is about to die, they'll say two words, mama, or they'll say that name, Gould. And you say the Gould, where do you think you're going to go? If your last words is, oh, Gould, where do you think you're going to go? The celestial one, Kanusha Netter had told me this. Why did Sophia reject her son? No, it's not that she rejected him. So what happened is Sophia creates this being out of herself. She kind of doubles herself. And so when she goes back, and it's like Q, remember Q from Star Trek. So Q has created this thing, and then Q goes back amongst his types, and they see something's different. She hit it so well that they couldn't put their finger on it, but yet they saw the energy that there was something else there. And so she tried to do it and hide them. Now, I know a lot of the writings go back into the Christians trying to put her down and get people away from the divine feminine, because it's another name for the divine feminine. But it was a way of kind of putting the divine feminine down, saying, see what happened when we let the divine feminine be in control? She created this scourge on the world, and now she can't control it. So You got to kind of look at that as well. Mm. Oh, hey, read my soul. So that's part of it. Sophia means wisdom. Yeah, in Greek, it's wisdom. Yeah, it's mentioned in the Bible, the book of Proverbs, as she. Yeah, it's the divine feminine. And it's some beautiful writings in the Gnostic texts about Sophia. So not all of it is negative. A lot of it is, in support. A lot of it is giving support to Sophia. So a lot of it is kind of beautiful writing. That is why this Gnostic Gnostic text is kind of good in some ways. Again, it's Christianity. There was just a different branch of Christianity. And let me see if I can read what got my attention in this book. Yeah, so it's here. This is the thing that, the first page I opened this book, this is what I found. And I've had this book 04, 03, something like that. How agreeable is all people to say that chaos is darkness, but actually chaos came from a shadow that's been called darkness. The shadow comes from something existing from the beginning. So it's obvious that something in the beginning existed before chaos came into being. And that chaos came after what was in the beginning. So, and this goes to say, after the nature of the mortals was completed out of the infinite one, then a likeness called Sophia flowed out of Pristis, because a lot of times you'll see Pristis Sophia. And with that wish that something should come into being, the light that first existed, immediately her wish appeared as a heavenly likeness of incomprehensible greatness. This came between the immortals and those who came to being after them. Like what is above, it was also a veil separating people from things above. So this comes from the original of the world, which would be considered, let's see. This would, because this is broken down into what comes from what. I was just trying to catch the reference of what part this came out of. Don't see it, but it's kind of broken down like that. And so again, you use your discernment when you study this stuff. You use your discernment and how it applies. Well, thank you. That's very kind of you, of Chanel. Thank you. Is Wombs and Alien Spirits book of those two ladies spirit guides? Is Wombs and Alien Spirits book on those two ladies spirit guides? No, this book is about the tribe in Sudan. And what she did is she sat for about 10 years. She sat a couple different periods, and she wrote down how they used the czar. Again, I've talked about this, where what they do is they cut off the goat, and then these chicks are spirit catchers. What you have to understand, they are spirit catchers, and so they've had so much strife and war in those areas. They've caught different spirits. Well, these different spirits could do certain favors for the tribe. And so if something's coming up, cut off the head of the goat, the spirit comes out the goat's ass, and then these people that it possesses wear the clothes and ask for certain favors so to bring the spirit in. But I've said this many times, you don't need the blood. The most important part of this book is at the end when they talk about a chick that, and her name is Jane, what is her name that wrote the book? Yeah, Janice Body. She doesn't, it's only a couple paragraphs that she talks about this, but this one of these people that practiced this was able to go back in time and possess her back in time, someone from Sudan. And this person from Sudan was able to tell her what her apartment looked like, what kind of cigarettes she smoked while she was in America, movies that she watched. This chick had never been anywhere. She had never been to Canada. And yet she had went back in time and possessed her. That is the part of the czar movement that I use. And plus me being a time walker, this opened up for me. And this seems to be, it seems to be a good way to move. I'll say that. It seems to be a good way to move. And then if you watch the movie Logan, when the last scene of Logan shows you the hallways, and they put the numbers out, but it's really like a type of ribbon that you'd see. And doors. I've said the same thing. There'll be rooms, But there's other aspects of this is a different way to move. So gives you another way to move. That's all. so so it's about a bunch of ladies. It's about a bunch of ladies. It's not just about one. It's about their tribe in the Sudan. Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom. The book of Proverbs. These that love wisdom known as philosophers. Those that wisdom are known as sages. Hey, oh, you're welcome, James. So yeah, that's as anything, you use your discernment, but that's the thing I get out of it. And again, I don't really share a lot of the time walking information. I used to say the poem, but now I just say the beginning of the poem. It starts with a gentle sadness, because the people knew that they were civilization builders, so they had to leave where they came from to build civilization, and then they knew that once the civilization was built, they disappeared. This is what they did, and this is part of what the time walkers do. But the time walkers walk on light. So light is older than time. Or, this type of movement is older than the light. The light isn't the beginning. So that we're not taught that. What causes some of us to be born with that knowing or spiritual advancement, in your opinion? Well, this is a part that kind of goes a little bit within reincarnation. We kind of make an agreement to come in. We almost choose our family in some ways. It's like you take a baby that gets tortured. Well, baby kind of agreed to go into that. That is a part of reincarnation a little bit, showing the different screens that you can go into. But it seems to be, again, you could be a person that's going to keep coming back to try to help humanity. So, but that's an ancestral thing a lot of times too. It comes from the blood, from the blood, from the blood, from the blood, from the blood. And a lot of like healers. My great grandfather was a healer. And so that seems to have come on to me as well. But then I have my father's father that comes out of the Mississippi Delta area that practiced Voodoo and other practices of the Americas. And so we are kind of born in it sometimes as well. And I know, spending time with my like my two children that live with me, there's no way they can get away from it. This is going to be part of their path. So I don't know if they're going to do it like I do it, but eventually this is going to be part of their path. If they do nothing but heal, this is going to be part of their path. So part of it could be you choose to go into this stuff again. Part of it could be you come from a line of healers. You come from a line of spiritual people. So, like telepathy or the gift of sight beyond the norm. Yeah. Well, but that's what I was talking about with English and stuff. They try to block any of that, because when you go, like you were saying, you go into the astral realm, that's all you get hit with. There's no talking. You don't need to talk. Everyone is just, you go into the astral realm and you come upon an ancestor, they're hitting you. They're giving you what they say, what they are saying. You are getting pictures in your mind of what they're talking to you. But yet their mouth won't be moving because it's not necessary. It's not necessary to make these sounds, because again, these sounds are blocking us in a lot of ways. So those that have decalcified their pineal gland have the solar plexus resonate with a lot of soul power known as celestial. Do you have an email? I have some things I'd like to share with you. Sure. EAGLER at email.com. Hope I got that right. Eagle. I got about 3 other ones now. But there you go. That's it. Can I smoke weed and time travel or go to another world? It would depend on how you are vibrating. It would be dependent on how you are vibrating, James. As I was saying last night with this singing bowl, I smoked a little bit of weed and then I hit this thing and it pushed me out of my body. Now, again, I wasn't really trying to do that, but it gave me that because I was resonating so high. So if you're resonating high enough, you're vibrating high enough, and then it's like everything is lined up perfectly, but it's how you are vibrating. So what I would say is try to stay, like the witch says, love or above. Try to stay in that as long as you can. So I would say all day, try to really keep your love and above up here, your vibration up here all day. Then if you smoke some herbs, it could give you a push. Now I teach directionals again, and that is an extra push as well, because I think it's from the West all day yesterday. I think it was from the West. And so again, I get that push. I put my mind, in like, okay, what it's from the West. And so I move from the West. I don't just say this stuff. I practice this stuff as well. And so I got quite a push today. I really got quite a push. But it's again how you are vibrating, because it's like if you don't argued all day with people and then you just smoke some herbs, it's not going to put you there, because again, look at where your vibration is. And it's like I said before, is when you wake up, you could be up here with love. And then your wife say some stuff, it goes lower. Then your children say some stuff, it goes lower. And it's like by the time you leave your house, your love is almost with your solar plex area. You ain't even went to work yet. So by the time you might finish with work, your love is down in your ankles. So you're not vibing high enough. So you need to keep it high enough and then try something like that. So that's the thing is you can't just switch it on and off. You got to really practice it all day. So I control my astral projections very well. It took many years. Used to be terrifying, especially when I couldn't control it. Yeah, that's the thing is you get that feeling of like my ex, when I would meditate with her and she would just be flying through. And I'm like, you're not seeing anything like this. And my ex would trance like that. I mean, she could really trance. Like soon as she would close her eyes, she could trance. I think that's why she's had so many spiritual attacks on her, because she does have that ability to get right into it. But even my own experience, if they wouldn't have come save me, I was just out there. I'm like, whoa, because I had done everything to just shoot me out. And I'm like, 18 years old. And I'm like, and this is 82, maybe 82 or 83. And so, I'm just, and luckily my guides came and scooped me up. But if they didn't, it could have been a negative experience that could have pushed me away from all this. Like, shit, that shit was some shit. So I don't want to try it again. Charlie Schaefer, here's my info. The most powerful. Yesterday was awesome. Thank you, Chanel. Thank you. Thanks, Edward. Thank you, Necessary Evil. The most powerful enemy that encounters on the path of enlightenment is one's ego. I've talked about that before. It's like I was saying that you don't want to have all the evil pushed out of you, because sometimes you need it to work things. I'm not saying you got to be totally evil, but I'm saying you want to keep a part of it. It's like, I guess if you was kind of like a gangster and then you went into the regular world, you're not going to give up all the gangster, because there's times where you need to be that gangster. It's like my best friend, and I'm going to have him on one night. He's the most mild guy in the world, but he had to do some gangster shit at work. He had to tell a motherfucker, you meet with me or you fired immediately. So if you are not in my office by this time, that's you just pack your shit. So he's like, either come see me or just pack your shit and walk up out of there. So he had to put that gangster. He got a raise and he had to put that gangster. And that's why I say you keep a little bit of evil, because sometimes you need that push that can only come from that kind of energy. That's my only thing. So if you cheat with DMT or LSD, will you get a controllable astral travel? That goes back to what Bomber's saying, and I'll just kind of parrot what he said. It's like you can take that, but you might not be light enough to use it. I mean, you can take it and you can get all the wavy lines and all the echoes. You might get a little bit of rush of colors, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to attain the necessary spirituality. Because again, the cheating, like you said, is cheating. But I'll say this though. Before you're going to take that, again, you keep your love meter high. You keep your vibrations high. And you try to practice that for a couple of weeks to keep your stuff up here. then take something like that. You would be more successful than just, I mean, again, if you've had a messed up week and you think you're going to take that, it's not going to work for you. I mean, you're going to have some tripped out experiences, but it's not going to give you the experience that you're looking for, other than like, damn, I was tripping. That's not right. You really want to take that just to be tripping. You want to take it to aim your spirituality, to enhance it. So it's like, okay, it gave me the right boost. I bet I can do that without it. And that's what happens. You can do it without it. Where am I? It's our greatest enemy, yin and yang. It's not good or evil, but balance. There you go. Got to meditate, y'all. Well, thank you for joining me. We have the ability to heal ourselves. Everything has been dummied down to drugs. Yeah. Yep. Light, Kuyang. Yep. Dark, Kunyong. And remember, if I can find it. Maybe it's still here. I probably should. I go to this all the time. Maybe this says it too. Well, again, this is, what they call yin and yang. This is Hanukkah, which is much older. That's the symbol for Hanukkah. Just like the binary system comes from the Americas. Oh, yeah. Hanukkah. I did have a place for it. It just fell out the book. So the floor. I'll put this in it. But that's older than yin and yang. But it gives, it's one of the first thoughts. The true elixir is water. The true elixir is water. There you go. Lectures within. And that's even like going to when the first creation comes out and living amongst the first creations of the primal water, living amongst the primal waters. Those are the first beings that lived here, were the beings that were the creation of the primal water. And these beings are, I guess in some ways you could call these beings celestials, because they still are around this planet. They were able to lift so many when the Europeans invaded, so many nations came up. That's why that Lindar is an enemy of the people, because they're trying to find the ways that these people were amplified. They're never going to be able to bring them back down, but that's what they're looking for. They're looking for amplifiers. That's why they want to discover in all that jungle. They want to discover if there are any amplifiers so they can bring them down. It can replicate our DNA. I have that tattoo on my belly button. Hanukkah, galactic butterfly. Hey, Sovereign Queen, thank you for joining me. I never thought about that as a, wow. Yeah, I never thought about that as a tattoo. Yeah, that would be tight. It would be tight. I just got so many scars that, I don't know, take that little pain, but that's a good point. I had never thought about that. Did Kong versus Godzilla tell some truths? Yeah, I broke that down. If you looked at the original King Kong, and I'll do a little rebuff on it or retake. If you looked at the original Kong, it was talking about the Europeans taking over the melanated people, Kong, but also the Europeans conquering nature. Again, go back to I think the picture of King Kong holding the woman, and then you looked at the picture of LeBron James. So it was looked at that at first. But in this instance, well, we know Godzilla comes back. Godzilla, the concept of Godzilla is also a concept of Quetzalcoatl, the original dragon or the white bearded dragon. But also, King Kong is kind of the Japanese way of kind of saying we can overcome because our spirit can overcome. So the spirit was Godzilla, and Godzilla released its harshness on the world. But in this movie, we saw a little different. So we saw, I might have to look at my notes. Might have to rehash my notes. I'm old manning on y'all. Let me see if I can find my notes so I can repeat myself, right? Because I watched this. I just went to the movies last weekend, but I saw it before then. I saw it like a month ago. And let me see if I can rehash my notes here. King Kong. Let's see. Kong used to be foreshowing worship. Okay, so now, yeah, so Godzilla, so Kong is a okay, yeah. So King Kong is a Darwinism man. Godzilla would be looked at as the melanated, but Kong is looked at as the Darwinism. So Kong would come from Darwinism. And so we have Darwinism against the Quetzalcoatl, the melanated people. And Kong got wiped because, again, remember, Kong was all around all the technology. Remember, he lived in the false world. They put him in a false Skull Island, so he was the technology, which goes all into Darwinism. Let me see what else I had more. Maybe I didn't. I guess I didn't. I did have. Maybe it's in the other book. And so what we have is. So the little girl would be the Jessica Lange character that we saw in the 77 Kong movie. That's the little girl now. So they switched the Jessica Lange character, or the original Kong, when he climbed the building to save the heroine, or he fell in love with the heroine. The little girl plays that part. And what really comes back to is when they go to Middle Earth, we see documented discovery. The scientist proclaims that is his land. First thing they do is they want to tap into it so they can build a bomb. They claim we own all this. Like somebody asked about Mars. That's the same thing. Right now, I doubt, how are they going to get by the asteroid belt, first of all? There's no way. There's no way. There's nothing they have invented. Well, no, let me take this back. Let me say this. There's no machine that can go through that. That's all a lie. But what we have in the end is, and remember, man had to save King Kong every time. King Kong was getting his ass kicked, and man had to save him. At the end, they had to, they had to give him the jump. But what we see is, at the end, is we see the melanated people, Godzilla, working with the Darwinism against the me or the mega Godzilla. And so the two work together to destroy the machine. That part I really dug. I was like, whoa. That surprised me that they threw that in there. So they had the two working together to destroy the machine. That was kind of brilliantly written. Read my soul. Yeah, I've seen it twice too. I went to the movies to see it, and I watched it on my TV. And it was so good on my TV, I knew it would be better in the movies. So that's why I went to the movies to see it. Here are the boom, boom, booms. But the colors were amazing. The Navy scene was shot beautifully. I really was impressed with that part. And again, the Man in the High Castle, because there's a line, they say the Seventh Fleet is destroyed. That's the Pacific Fleet. That made me think Man in the High Castle, because that could happen. I think dragon means serpent. The wing, let me see. Was it good? I enjoyed it, Chanel. I'm sorry. I know it's a delay, but I enjoyed it. My son was going crazy. He's like, Dad. And even after seeing it before, the winged serpent represents mastery of Kundalini. I think it's funny. The problem was that the Oz gods, they sold it as King versus Godzilla, but the real enemy was the human creation. There you go. Yeah, read my soul. I watched it twice too. The snakes represents the chakra. It's the pineal gland between the left. Where's it? Brain, or is it connected to the forehead? Let's see. Is the pineal gland between the left and right brain? Actually, it sits like, if you looked at the reptilian brain, it sits right in there. It's a little pod about so big. And as I said many times, a lot of people teach it that it'd be right here, but I'm more sensitive up here. I'm more sensitive. So when I would use a third eye clarifier, I would tend to put it right here. But now I've just copied Winter's stuff from Heaven and Earth. He was making the bands, and I just put it in this hat, and I put it all around. But I would usually, what I would do before is I would put on the whatever you put the mask on to close my eyes, and I would set it high as possible. In the, I go to dollar store and get one of the sleeping masks, and I would put it like right here. I put a piece of pedalite like right here because I am more sensitive. Like even probably can feel it with this. Yeah. Yeah, it's like right here. I am more sensitive there than right here. And I've had people argue, well, that's your crown chakra. No, it's not. It's not the same for everybody. but that's where if you would physically see it, you would physically see it. Like if you took your reptilian brain, that is why when they bound their heads, that's the problem people ignore. I mean, when people try to say that America was all Muslims and stuff, and you just ignore the binding of the heads. And not only the binding of the heads, why they bound their heads. Because it wasn't just the binding from the back, you bound your head in the front and the back. So they bound their heads here and here. And it takes you out of the reptilian brain. It would scoot your pineal gland up. So, you wonder how they invented all this stuff. This is how. Because again, you get out of that reptilian brain. And so far, people don't talk about that. It's like, again, present all the information. How can you be part of this culture when you never practiced this? Nowhere around the world can you show that who you claim that all this is, that they didn't do that. And you can't just show, well, this tribe did that. Why did they do that in Africa? If any tribe did that, why did they do it? What's the explanation? Hangs from the solenoid bone. That's where the pituitary gland is. Yeah. I can give free anatomy and psychology lessons on my second channel if you guys want to see it. Okay, Mr. T Gaming. Let me put that down. If you have a channel, Mr. T Gaming, I should subscribe to you. And I think Chanel has a channel as well. I think I watched her on earlier. And I'm already subscribed to her channel because I think we're friends on Facebook too. So who believes the slave trade story? Where are the remains? Blacks from here. How the hell are you going to discover someplace already occupied by people? That is what we've been saying. Humans are the true supercomputer. They've been trying to replicate it. Yes. No, baby. Oh, okay. Maybe not then. Oh, that wasn't you on your channel, Chanel. Okay. I thought maybe it was. That's right. People are already here. I mean, there's no slave ships. There's no slave ships or none of that. But PNN was right when you talk about still full. When you looked at the South, and the South had melanated people fighting before the Union did. They had melanated people from the start. You can find all the brothers that come out of Mexico that fought for the South out of Texas. And the melanated people that was in Mississippi, Alabama, all the cities that left. I believe we were created to mine gold. Okay, that goes into the Anunnaki, some of Stinchon's work. The second channel is Royal. It is Royal Bell, but T Gaming is my child-friendly channel. Okay, Royal Bell. All right, then I'll subscribe to you. I'm sorry, you should have told me that before. Maybe I did. Royal Bell. Okay. I'll make sure I'll subscribe to you. I love all information. Tell you what, this is a great little thing to carry around, but damn if you don't, you can turn it off and put it in your pocket, but if anything presses this button, it turns on. It's a flaw. Basically cleans the thing, but it wastes whatever you put in it. Oh, there we go. That is one flaw it has, because I had it turned off and had it in my fanny sack, and shit was. and this is the thing is, I carry bullets in my fanny sack, in my pouch, and this thing is hot against damn bullets. It's like shit. The damn bullets went off and got heated and damn shot me or somebody else. So it wasn't very, oh, there we go. Wasn't very smart. Wasn't very smart. But again, a flaw with it. Bringing millions of Africans over on boats is some bullshit. Yeah. Well, you have to look at the water, how you gonna feed them, and yeah, all that. We honestly, the lesser beings and animal gods chose to upgrade to work for them. That's how we went from cavemen to knowing how to make televisions. I don't know, Chanel. My people wasn't never no cave people. My people come from the Americas. So I don't know about being cave people. I carry in mind pack two clips and bullets. I carry in mind two Hucker clips and bullets. Well, you know, no, I didn't have my pistol on me. I didn't have my pistol on me. I always carry a big knife with me, but I didn't have my pistol on me at that time. But I had all the bullets because I usually carry the pistol on me. So it's full of bullets. This thing is full of bullets, because I carry a little, 5 shooter sometimes, little 38, and with the 38 special rounds. So yeah, wasn't very smart. The other one, this one's better to carry around. Actually, this one's better to carry around. The Order of the Jade and the Order of the White is about mastering the balance of masculine and feminine. Does 100 degrees or higher kill chemtrails, or they just stay in the sky? Well, that's an interesting thing because, like, right now, what they do here, and I've talked about this before, is mosquitoes. And I don't know how people lived here. They said that when the Dakotas people lived here, they would put bear grease on them to keep these mosquitoes away. But I imagine 150, 170 years ago, the mosquitoes had to be hard. I don't know when the Europeans came here, how they managed it. But when I first came here in the 80s, it was like going outside was tough. And then going outside when it was a little dark, unbearable. The mosquitoes would be so bad. It was like 3-4 years ago when I moved over in this apartment and I was gazing. I'm trying to, gaze the planets and get in touch with the planets. It was just bit, where I would actually have to go in there and put a hoodie on and have my face just this much open. It was so bad. So I go around that circle to say this is part of the chemtrails, is that they put stuff that kills these mosquitoes. And I know the mosquitoes naturally help the environment in some ways. There are bugs and things that eat these mosquitoes, but that is part of what they do too. Now, to say what makes them go away, Zach Hubbard was showing when he was just walking I think he lives in Washington State. I think Washington State, Seattle. Yeah, I think he lives in Washington State. He was showing how some stringy shit was from the chemtrails. And I've heard like spider web like shit, and I've watched other people say the same kind of thing. I think it's a goofy girl out of LA. I used to be or California. I don't know if it's, but she was showing the same kind of thing, the spider web shit that would come out of the chemtrails. And this is one argument that people say that is right. Nano shit comes from chemtrails as well. So they've been pouring nano shit on us. I mean, I catch it when I do my Sugar water. I catch that shit that's in the water, the bottled water. The Sugar pushes it to the top and I slurp it out. But I've talked about this before. I buy bottled water. I buy bottled water, and I don't know if it's dark enough. I see this shit in the water. That kind of shit, the Shungite pushes this shit to the top. You tell me that ain't some nano shit. And I know it's much smaller than that, and this is in copper. Bacteria can't grow in copper. I think that's another reason why it comes to the top too, because the copper fights that shit as well as the Shungite is both fighting that shit. So that's some shit they put in the water already. And at first I was I was seeing the shit, but not knowing what to do. And then I was like, this is some bullshit that that's in the water. The water's rejecting it. So I don't know, Derek, if that kills it. Land of 10,000 mosquitoes. Yes, Jay. I'm saying gaining some type of knowledge over the amount of time it took is impossible. How could one have ever discovered the way electricity traveled in the woods? But a lot of people didn't just live in the woods. A lot of people lived in cities before. And again, if you go into the Omen and the Mayan, uh, how did they create the big heads? How did they know how to polish them? It's a lot of stuff you can't. Okay, here's the best one. This is the best one to answer your question right there. This is what the Mayan did in the Yucatan Peninsula. There is no water. In the Yucatan Peninsula, there is no water. Not enough to make a civilization thrive. But you know what they did? They drilled through the earth and created cenotes. And they drilled through they found that all these cenotes connect. Some of them go into the pyramids. So these ain't just normal folks. These folks had some high science, not only high science, high engineering. You go up in Peru and you see the way they built those boulders that you can't be done without some type of laser cutter. Without some type of laser cutting, studying heavy engineering about angles and knowing the right arithmetic. So in the Americas, there was some knowledge that doesn't come from that Darwinism. So it wasn't really impossible. Chemtrails and COVID are connected. I think so. I just think it's proof. But see, that's what they go to. Hey, Jesse Lynn, that's the thing. That's the European way. If they can't discover it, they have to say it came from somewhere else because it can't come from the melanated people. That's what they say, that it can't come from the melanated people. It has to be extraterrestrials. Not giving the, again, ain't no extraterrestrials, dig them cenotes. That was the Mayan and probably the Omen before them, because now it's proof that the Omen built the Pyramid of the Sun and the Moon, because they found jade mask at the base of the Pyramid of the Sun. They found a jade mask that is perfectly Omen style. So they had some of this knowledge. The Omen observatory still exists. The Mayan observatory still exists. So they had understanding. Now, I've said this before. I was doing some laser work in the ethers, and he came to me, and I never really was much into those type of extraterrestrials, but I was doing some laser work with a planet, and he came to me and said, we don't come there. He turned me around and said, we come from there. So, yeah, that could be a little of that. Could be. But I'm saying that the technology was on the land, too. Self-maintaining, we give a government should look up the articles of nano dust containing AI. Okay. I believe the need for the 5G. But Jesse Lynn, I'm glad you found me. Thank you. Yes, ready. That's what I believe the need for the 5G to be, to turn the nano dust so they can monitor us. Yeah, that is. Because they've admitted what it does is it opens up. That's why they wanted two shots. The first shot would open up that cell, and the second shot would actually put it into your DNA. Well, they found one shot that can do the same thing. Open up the cell, go into your DNA. So I agree with that, Chanel. I agree with that. Yeah, we self-maintaining. We have not given, I agree. How long have they been taking origins and how long have they been taking on origins and selling them? Don't quite get the question. A movie called Repo Man. Remember a movie called Repo Man? Yeah, I think I do. Repo Man. They don't understand the spin. They know they can live forever, so they explain it away with aliens. Yeah, exactly. They don't understand the spin. They don't. What's the deal with the lasers? I don't know. I went into a platform and someone came to me and they were saying that we had to do this laser work that helps the planet. And so we were doing laser work it was one other being and me, and we were feeding this planet with these lasers. And then Starface came on, the great Bacall. He came and he put his arm around me and said, no, we come from there. Shoot the laser there. So I was just doing laser work, feeding the planet. That's the way it was explained to me. And shooting the lasers is actually feeding those planets. Oh, Repo Man, they were harvesting organs. Okay. Because what was the Estevans movie about them, the trash? It had a name like that. How long they've been taking organs? Okay, you saying how long they've been taking organs? They've been doing that for a long time. That's been a long time that they've been taking organs to find out. Remember the movie Cocoon? Remember the movie Cocoon? Cocoon showed them the way Cocoon put it is if you got these pods, you'd come back and be younger. But what it was showing to me was if you take these organs can make you younger. These organs can make you younger. I always hear them as I'm leaving my body. I hear lasers like shooting. Okay. I maintain that vaccine was given to the gray alien race. Okay, Lammy, interesting. Trump worked with them for sure. He worked with something. Ancient aliens show humans don't create the pyramids. They hate. Yeah, that's part of it too. It's their way of trying to explain a way that they didn't do it. That's what you see is it's like if they didn't do it, if European society didn't come up with something, it has to be outside of it. And I think we can prove that stem cells. I remember they had a show on South Park about that. So I'm not sure of your question, Chanel. You said humans didn't. So there's a lot of technology that went on in South America. Again, these sigils that we was talking about, getting back into Lucifer and stuff. I mean, this is. There's been some high science that existed here before the me or the my, because again, the me or the my, when we're talking about Western civilization, we're talking about being controlled by the me or the my. American Gods shows this really brilliantly. They really show that brilliantly, that almost all Western civilization is tied to the machine one way or another. I mean, when them damn wizards, saucers, whatever you want to call them, when they became unfrozen, they came back with a gun, a way to mass kill. Now, I got to get Brother James on here to have a talk with him because this mass killing was already done on the earth before with these kind of weapons. Now, I'll dab a little bit of what Stinson talks about, the War of the Gods. This existed not in the way he says it, but this did exist where these higher beings went through the same kind of petty shit. And they had all these alternate weapons that could just wipe shit out. Going to the Vedas, reading the Vedas. They talk about these wars that were thousands of years ago, millions of years ago. But that we went past that. But then when in Europe, they come up with ways to kill from afar with the guns. And so that the cannons too, that's what people forget is they had cannons as well. They knew cannons before they knew guns. So American Gods, I can't wait. No, they canceled American Gods. The building of the pyramids. Oh, you're saying what humans didn't? Yeah, I disagree. Because we know that the Omen pyramid in La Venta, that's where the first pyramid was built. And again, we see the Omen mask at the Pyramid of the Sun. So we can disagree. That's all right. Have you ever heard of Avril Bowe? Yeah, D. Still, I have. I think it's, American Gods. Yeah, they canceled American Gods. They canceled it. I believe everything that man said. I don't believe everything that man said. Also because of what the alien Ari said at the Roswell crash interview. Interesting. But we don't have to agree. You don't have to with everything. That's okay. You find your path and I'll find mine. That's all. What do you mean they canceled it? Yeah, they canceled American Gods. They're not going to be a fourth season. Unless somebody else picks it up. That's what they said. Maybe somebody else picks it up. But I do believe it got canceled for the fourth season. Like the Magicians, they canceled the Magicians, which was giving out a lot of gems, and they canceled it. Yeah, they canceled it. They canceled American Gods, and they canceled the Magicians. Those were two of the. Preacher was, Preacher showed everything, but Preacher showed a lot of stuff too. But I love the Magicians. There was a lot of corny shit. I agree, but the overall message. Can I reach it? I mean, the show, this is a white calcite. And, they were showing like how there was a thing on the Magicians where they were showing how you couldn't rob a bank with magic. You couldn't rob a bank. And, a lot of times they would put up, a type piece of calcite to see if it was charmed, to see if it had a spell on it, a protection spell. So it's like, There's clearer pieces than this, but it's like I go around looking at that shit, like trying to see when I go to places. I like, man, I wonder, because I took this down to the Fed bank. We have a Fed bank in town, and I took this down to the Fed, and I was looking to see if I could see any kind of enchantment. And I was jokingly with someone about. I put this. This is pretty fragile. I was joking with somebody about the riots here. So we have a federal bank in downtown Minneapolis, and they go tear up Action Auto, they tear up Cub Foods, they tear up Target, and we have a Fed bank here. Yeah. The Admiral. Oh, okay. Admiral. Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. No, Chanel, no unbalance here. What's been the best year of your life? Okay, Admiral. When they're about to bust out the devil, I liked Supernatural too. Kind of corny, but some gems. Yeah, Supernatural. And I watched in the beginning, and I haven't. I probably should catch up. But no, it's no thing. Yeah, it's just clear calcite. Clear calcite actually was interesting. Is that's how they used it on ships too. They could get certain angles, so they would have a piece of clear calcite, and calcite is very protective, especially blue calcite. But I want to answer, what's the best year of my life if you could go back? Man. It's like I have 8 children, and all those were the best. Everyone going through the experience of all my children. Now, if you want to say a single year, I would say the funnest I had in my life was probably my freshman year, was probably the funnest. If there was any single year that just everything went well. My senior year in high school, somewhat, a lot of disappointment because I thought a lot more opportunities would come. The year we won the Gold Bowl was a magical year as well. That was a magical year. So that would have been 81. So, yeah. But I would say if as an adult, one of the funnest years I've had would have been the year we won the Gold Bowl. That was probably one of the greatest years. Traveling all over the country. We went to New York. We played Jerry Rice led. He went to Mississippi Valley. We played all over the country, and we won a Gold Bowl. I played on TV about 5 times. Yeah. So, again, BET didn't exist, so they put us on. BET was who shot the game, but ESPN showed the game. So, right when they're about to bust out the devil? Yeah. I loved. I'll get into. Yeah, I've watched some of Supernatural too, and I kind of get into that. Thoughts on DMX? They've been playing the same 15 or 20 songs, but one song I never meant what he got was when he said, "We ain't going nowhere. We are right here." That, and then he showed all the melanated faces. I'm like, oh, okay. That gets a little bit into Old Dirty Bastard. We ain't going nowhere because we've always been here. I kind of love that. Now, again, with that dragon that died today, that's probably been dead for years, and then they picked the perfect 99666 to say he died. But I mean, that's the price of fame. That man was what, in 3 movies? 3 movies? I mean, that's the price of fame. And he took the Walter Payton. He took the L instead of one of the family members. Got to respect that. Because that's what they come to you. It's like, what do you want? Supernatural went 15 seasons. Very dope. Yeah, it's still on. I bet life in the 70s, 80s was the shit. I mean, somewhat. It was somewhat fun. Again, remember, it made you smarter. I'll say this, because you had to remember phone numbers. No one remembers phone numbers. Hell, how many people really even know your own phone number other than when you have to do business? It was phones where I wouldn't even know my number. If I didn't have to do business with it, I wouldn't even know my own number. But that is something, we don't know people's number. If you go to jail, how many numbers you know? You don't remember numbers like that. That's why when you go to jail, they let you use your phone to call somebody, because we don't remember numbers. I mean, there's one time, I can still remember my number, 616-344-6890. I knew my aunt's number. I can't remember it now, but I knew my number. I knew my dad's number. I knew my grandmother's number. So, But it was simple. It was simple. You know, it was a simpler time for sure. Even the 60s, I noticed even the 60s was even a simpler time than the 70s. It was a much simpler time, just the way the work was, Vietnam War, especially if you get into the middle 60s, you had the civil rights things. But other than that, just regular life, other than the strife of the civil rights and the war thing, because the war movement really didn't hit until the 67, 68, where the civil rights thing was 63 going on. So, and what happened is with the civil right, with the arrival of the Black Panthers, a lot of people say, okay, we don't really support that kind of thing. We'll support the war effort. And it turned into the war effort. That's why Kent State was some bullshit. I don't know numbers. Yeah. April's a big ritual month. Bile, the handover. Good one, Sovereign Queen. I love X, but he did sell his soul, even if he said it. Yeah, exactly. I don't save numbers. I like numbers. Huh?
Malcolm X?
No.
Or XX Tentacion?
No, the dude who died today.
Oh, yeah, bro. I put on my story. I was like,
okay, that's enough from you. Absolutely true. I can only remember a few numbers now. Yeah, it's like the time period sucks. The 2000s was even cool for me growing up. Yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I grew up before the phone. Had to remember my address and phone number. Exactly. In the NBA, Knicks are guaranteed to win today because that's a good one, homie. That's a good one. Children don't remember numbers these days, not like they used to. No, not at all. Not at all. We've had to pound it in. 99s was the best. The 90s was the best. Okay. I like the 90s. A Prince and Darkman X dead on the same day, symbolizing the Prince of Darkness. Good one, Sosa. Good one. That's what I said too, homie. Yep. Prince died in April. There he did. Yep, he did. Zach kind of called that. When Vanity died, Zach was like, Prince better watch out. And sure enough, he did. Download Atmo Pro. It got everything. Movie Pro. Yeah, it does have everything. I remember my homie's phone number in the 90s. Yeah, I can remember my aunt's number, though. The numbers be talking. And that's the thing. Like, the thing, Zach gets mad that everybody doesn't just jump on the numbers. But it's like you do what you do and then put in the numbers. So it's like whatever you find your specialty, and then you can put in the numbers to see what's relevant. So, but you don't have to do it exactly like they do it. That pisses him off that everybody doesn't do it the way he does it. That pisses him off. But everybody shouldn't do it the way he does it. If it works for you, then do what works for you, but you don't have to parrot someone else. Who let you in here? You're not using that whitening cream enough. You need to use it more and just put it all over. I gave you 2 gallons of it. Okay. If I was bullshitting, that's good. But if I'm talking serious, it's not appropriate. Somebody said hi, Queen.
You were just bullshitting.
Somebody called you hi, Queen.
Queen, bro.
You could look again.
No, I don't want to look again.
This is 250 pounds of man.
6'5", 250.
6'5", 250, big and strong. The early 90s was cool. Timeless, big fan. Can I ask your opinion on something? Sure, Sean. You can ask your opinion. Yeah, the 90s was nice. I had a good time. I had children in the 90s. I mean, even the 80s, the hustling. The hustling in the 80s, it was like no jobs, and that's all people had to do. And it was like everybody was doing it, especially dudes who played ball. I mean, played semi-pro basketball, especially. It was like that was it, because one thing that never disappeared is bud and ball. And so all the players that smoke bud, I mean, it just kind of evolved. I mean, even going back to before all of us started going to camps when we left college, we were starting to see it. We was going to parties and we were starting to see it. And it was like at first a richer people thing. And then it became, the poorer people wanted to buy grams and quarters and $10 worth of cocaine, all this kind of powder before crack. So can you imagine a person that's, playing football or basketball somewhere, traveling all over, and then you just stuck in a normal kind of job, but yet all these people, and you can get this other money to kind of live that same lifestyle. And that's what we saw a lot of people do. Gematria is same a lot of work, but interesting. Yeah. I mean, Derek makes it easy on the Gematrinator, but it's a lot of other ones. Can you ask your son how COVID has changed his life? How has COVID changed your life?
He says it hasn't changed his life. He says it hasn't changed his life.
I still been partying, dude.
He says he's still been partying. Well, Vanity Death connects it to
I'm still
Prince.
partying, dude.
Yeah, Lammy. Vanity was definitely connected
It's
to
changed
Prince.
my life pretty well, actually. I just got 4 days off, paid.
That's what he claims. We'll see when the check comes.
We'll see.
Telling you a story that happened to me was Vanity. Yeah, because Vanity, and this is the thing that Jill Jones, and I wish I could have interviewed her before she got mad at me. But Jill was saying that, Vanity was signed to Motown. So Vanity would have never been in Prince's movie. Berry Gordy was never going to get a permission for that. Hey, Sebastian. I felt like the worst time I had to be in the 30s or 40s. They call them silent generation. Wow. Okay, Sean, you can shoot. It's a little lag in it between when I see it and when you see it. It's kind of interesting because I had to do a little time moving in the 20s, and it wasn't that bad. It really wasn't that bad. It wasn't like, oh, let me say this. The funnest time is like the 1890s when everything is at the drugstores. That was probably my latest time thing, just to see. And you can get anything at the drugstore. I'm saying this before. I was probably the first drugstore junkie. And then, like when the drugstore closed, you could buy all the shit and take it with you. You got cocaine candy, you got heroin, licorice. I mean, it was just crazy. So that was kind of a fun time. But yeah, Sean, you can shoot whenever you. So it wasn't bad. It wasn't that bad, especially the people that lived that time. Now the young kids are druggies. The perks, cokes, ecstasy, lean, they killing themselves. Good point. They are. But the life is in some ways so miserable because, you're tied to the me. You're tied to the my. You're tied to it. And people don't understand that this is the most addictive thing that has ever come out. Why does it take pictures? This is the absolutely most addictive thing they've ever come out with is this. Nothing's been more addictive than these. Nothing. But I agree. Meth too. Yeah, meth. Meth took the place again when time was put back regular. When time was slowed down and put back in regular, people that were still feeling that movement needed that. That's where meth came in. But again, heroin really is the most natural drug of the Americas. And I've said this before, in the 70s, you had functional heroin addicts. Heroin was cheap and you had functional heroin addicts. Most rallies are nice people, but not this one. Let me see. When I walked off, when I thought walked off because she was not getting paid enough to do. Nah, she had signed with Motown, so it wasn't money. He would have. Berry Gordy was never going to put her in that movie. That's why she did The Last Dragon. When I've been at the coast for a few years ago, walked out of a restaurant in South Padre and they were having a biker rally, and it wasn't a nice biker rally. Vanity walked off, but Vanity wouldn't have signed because she was with Motown. She was not even connected to Prince in her later years. No, she wasn't. She became very religious. Denise was her name. Imagine life before TV. We can't perceive it. Nah, my early TV experience was black and white TVs. And I talked about I took that black and white TV from shit. I watched Superman reruns in the mid 60s. I took that TV to college. Nobody wants to admit they're addicted to it. Yep, our phones. Yep. Not that one wasn't nice. My favorite sin. Fake sugar and cell phones. This was like thug wannabes rode up with a motorcycle. They were looking at me and I was thinking, okay, all right, that guy's taking his helmet off. Addicted to phones and social media. That's right. People have, like children, have stabbed their parents or shot their parents over getting their phones taken from them. It has made people psychotic. Like the man, when his wife gets into his phone, we've had domestic disputes because of just taking somebody's phone, because we are that attached to it. The prime example of the little girl movie that was on Netflix. She wanted to be so popular and shit wasn't working. She said, I'll just take a picture of my snatch and maybe this will make me popular again. And yes, it was a sick movie to watch, but that point right there kind of showed you the sickness of it all. So the smartphone is part of the near of the my, the me or the my. Oh, absolutely. It is the me or the my everywhere we go. Everywhere we go, we take the me or the my with us. We can't live without it. And like we was talking about, not literally just 50 years ago, we didn't need technology. You might take a little radio with you to listen to. That was about what you wanted. You was taking something to vibe on. You wasn't taking something that was your whole life. These phones become our whole lives. Derek, Molly is crazy, especially fentanyl. Yeah. I told the story here, fentanyl. They had some fentanyl here that it made 4 people in the house OD and 4 cops walked in on it and they was handing the shit around, all 4 of them. They had the Narcom on them. So vanity was a message to Prince. Definitely. Parents should have had that in check. All of Prince's children were killed. And you know, she got 3 or 4 children now. I noticed that. That woman has 4 children now with Eric. No, she's married to a singer. I can't think of who the singer she's married to. Parents aren't raising the children. The damn phone is. Well, you know, I'm guilty of where the TV, Dragon Ball Z, you know, they'll sit there and watch it. I'm going to whack him right in the throat the minute he tries to get up on me and do something. And then I'm going to rush those next 3 guys. And they'll probably put something on me. I need to take that. When I go out to eat with my wife or friends, first person to look at their phone pays the bill. That's a good one. Yep, all goes back to the house. The smartphone is to dumb you down. There you go. You think the government had cell phones before we had them? Well, I'll tell you this. My mother, well, let me go back. So there's a book about a cocaine dude called, was it Dr. Ice? But anyway, he had one of the first suitcase cell phones that I'd ever heard of in modern times. And this was 80. You know, this was 1980. No, he might have been mid 70s going on. But I talked to my mother that worked for the old phone company, the Michigan Bell, again, the long distance and everything. And she was saying they had themselves, they didn't have the cell phones, but they had car phones. They had car phones far back as 60, 61. Because she said that was a whole nother board that they had to use for them phones. But that car phones have been around since then. But, you know, the old way they used to rob people on long distance, it didn't cost them any more to do a long distance call. They was just cheating people. Now you get free long distance and they begging you to have a landline because they done paid all this money for these landlines and they ain't been used in 20 years. I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Whenever something like this is going to happen, I can't help it. I'm thinking, all right, I'm ready to take it on. That's just how I am. I am thinking that. It's funny, Sean, I kind of think the same way. Like when I walk out of my car or if I walk out of my house, the first thing I'm doing is looking everywhere, you know. And it's become now, if I have my pistol with me, the first thing I do is look for cover. I'm like, where can I get cover? If I do have to do something, where can I get cover? But the same thing, you know, I always carry some type of weapon on me. Yeah, I understand that. It's just kind of training keeps you like that. You know, his first wife, Matra Garcia. Ah, okay. His first wife. Read the first part of his story. I missed something. Maybe I did. It kind of goes by. Did I miss it? I think I caught. Okay, yeah, I caught that. Again, it's a lag. It's a lag. And his first wife, right? I read the part of his story. I did an instant assessment. These guys, and these were the results. They are probably ex-cons, real criminals. I've got 3 children here. That gives me, you know, just turbo dinosaur power. There you go. Sean is telling you his story. Yeah, I am. I'm reading it. Dragon Ball Z, very high vibration is. And I'm thinking, control yourself. Don't have a fight unless you absolutely have to. You know, the man and he's ready to take it on. You know what I'm talking about. Oh, yeah. Excuse me. I got myself all worked again thinking about it. Car phones in the 60s. Yeah, they stole Tesla's technology and killed him. Can you please read Sean's story all together? He's typing it in parts. I can't read it. It's going up and down. I'm sorry, Chanel. I can only read it in parts because I got to answer other people. You know, it's a significant rapper always dies. Shoot, you watched Jason's work. I think that's his name. He showed 103 rappers died in 2000. And the last time I listened to him and Zach, it was almost 50 for this year. and we only in 4 months. I think he said it was something like 50 already. Yep, you got to go back. Anyways, Timeless is the self-defense expert. Would you have done in that situation? Yeah, I guess I would have to, especially when you're children. You know, I'll carry guns when I'm with my children, and that puts me, you know, I have to find cover for them. So that halts my instant acting. I have to not only look at cover for me, shooting lanes, but I have to like, where can I put them for cover? So yeah, I understand. I understand. I don't think I missed it. I was thinking whatever, something like that, when I can't help it. Yeah. So yeah, I would have done some of the same kind of things. Yep. So yeah, that's some of the same kind of ways. Is you have to assess what's coming at you, and you have to assess, can you keep your family safe? I mean, that's because it does weaken you when your family, you become more vulnerable when you're with your family. But that's kind of the way to look at it all. Is yeah, if you have to fight, it's fighting and not stopping. You know, when you have to go, you have to go. And sometimes it can't be avoided. You know, you have to put that work in. So, but as an older pimp, I like having pistols, so I don't have to fight people. So yeah, in that situation, I would have assessed it very similarly. Very similarly. But yeah, yeah, they were probably all that. Yeah, they could have been. It could have been. It's hard to, you know, read the crowd too. Yep. And that's not hard to make that assessment. I get that. But that's, you know, that's depending if I had a pistol or not, if I had a knife. I mean, all these kind of things. What kind of weapon do I have on me? Again, how can I get my family away safely? All these things have to be considered. You know, you think Cat's soft as hell. I wonder why they give him that weak role. That's just a role he's taken. Remember, they lost to Wisconsin. They lost to Wisconsin when he was at Kentucky. Remember that. He was the center, and they lost to Wisconsin after what? Winning it the year before with Davis? And they went undefeated and lost to Wisconsin. So Cat's been doing the role since then. He's been doing the role since then. Hey, Sean. Discernment, awareness of surroundings. There you go. I think DMX was with bringing dark energy. This year's name meant dark man. Yeah. Spot on with that video earlier on Tatum. Well, thank you, CJ. Yeah, but they've been showing it every over and over again. Our X marks the spot. Oh, your hometown in Wisconsin. Okay. Well, I'm in Minneapolis. Well, I'm actually in Prior Lake. I'm south. But yeah. But so he's been playing this role, and it just, as a product, you see the same kind of thing over and over again, and it just makes you wonder, why did the government force wrestling to say they're scripted when all of them hold entertainment license? All sports hold an entertainment license. So they're not real. They're not real, but they forced wrestling to say they're scripted. They forced them to, and the popularity didn't go away. The popularity stayed. Matter of fact, wrestling has never been an all-time high. Wrestling is prime time Friday nights, national, prime time tonight on a free station, Fox, one of the Fox stations. So wrestling never took a hit. You can still bet on wrestling. You can still, even though you know it's scripted, you can still bet on wrestling. There's still betting lines on wrestling. Always put myself in their position. Like, how do you do that? You got to go straight up to defend a three-pointer. And with that time remaining, but we saw it in a national championship game. Remember, Virginia player shoots from the corner and the guy's all up on him. Again, it's a roll. There's no reason to be that tight on him. No reason to be that tight on him. It's a roll. And we see it again and again and again in the NBA. But we see it in the college. We saw it in that college championship game when the Final Four was here. The player fouled the dude from Virginia when he didn't have to. I think it's too obvious with wrestling. But I'll say this, Sosa, people didn't used to think so. People would argue with you that it was real. Like, we talking about time periods. My brother-in-law, my ex-brother-in-law, when he was 14, I almost had to beat him up because he was crying and arguing with me because it's real, it's not fake. People thought wrestling was real. They thought that for when it begun, because that's how they put it out there that it was real. So wrestling ain't changed. It's gotten better, but it ain't really changed as far as the scripting of it. We have better athletes, which to me, wrestling is a better product. I enjoyed when sports was taking off. I was getting into wrestling because as a product, it is a much better product. You have these great athletes, and it pissed me off when they did and I quit watching it when they did the Chavez move in the wrestling mat. The one brothers that's on the cereal box that had their figurines, those three brothers. When he went on one of their necks and the brother agreed for that script, I kind of quit watching it then. Valerie, thank you for joining me. Kids are killing each other wrestling. The home movies are making more money. Remember the little boy that suplexed his sister? This boy was like 7 or 8, and his sister was like 4 or 5, and he put her in a suplex and dropped her on her neck, broke her neck. That might have been 90s, early 2000s. The little boy killed his sister doing a wrestling move. He suplexed his young sister. Tried to find where we at. Unfortunately, in the wrong place. He tried to find light, but I think it's obvious with wrestling. He tried to find light in the wrong place. Kids, yep. Sorry, that was a mistake. The Monday Night Wars was the shit. They're all bought and paid actors, of course. Of course they are. Sovereign, they are. Either fouling the top of the jump shot or base, not letting players land, putting them on the line and change the outcome of the game. I mean, to give them 3 shots. If you just play good defense, if he make a 3-pointer, he makes it. If they manipulate the shot and help it go in, they do. But for you to foul on purpose, I mean, it's a poor product. It's a poor scripting. But Boston, again, the Timberwolves is going to get the number 1 pick again. At least they should. And Boston is fighting to make the playoffs. So they can't afford it. Because the Timberwolves was handling them the whole game. They was up by 15 at one point. And came back. Sosa, Vincent McMahon is a racist. Huh. I don't know. I don't know him like that. I used to think WE was real until I was 12. Okay. I remember that. Do you think about Owen Hart incident? What do you think about Owen Hart? Now, you'd have to give me a reminder on Owen Hart, because if we go back to Ric Flair sacrificed his son for his daughter's career and his career. Remember that. They sacrificed his son. But if you looked at his son and looked at the guy who was called the 1-2-3 Kid, him and his wife have their own TV show. That looks like the same dude. But again, it probably sacrificed his son. But what we see in wrestlers is a lot of the same thing you see in Owen Hart was the one that killed his children. That's right. He killed. Okay. So now this is another thing, is if you look at the lives of wrestlers die fairly often too. But a lot of times they're tied into steroids. I think Owen Hart was tied into steroids. And so steroids can give you a type of psychosis as well. And so, yeah, he was a steroid abuser. But if you put steroids on top of CTE, because CTE comes from blows to the head. So you have the steroid use and you have CTE combined. That's a deadly combination. That's a deadly combination. Look at the shit people was doing because of Beavis and Butthead. Yeah. He was 15 to suplex his girl neighbor on the steps and killed her, and they gave him life in prison. Yeah, okay, I remember. Yep. I think someone messed around with Owens. Could be. He's not that good to me. Jalen Suggs was better. Owen Hart fell from the top of the arena, and Chris Benoit killed his family. Owen Hart fell from the top of the arena, and Chris Benoit killed his family. Okay. No, Owen Hart fell to his death from the Raptors. Oh, okay. What about Chris Benoit? That's the recent guy. Killed his wife and son. Okay, that was Valerie. That was the guy, Valerie. Okay. Chris Benoit is the one they're saying who killed his wife and son. Okay. Chris Benoit died of steroids. Yeah, that could be. Wrestler had more risk than football players. Chris Benoit killed his family when Hart fell from the roof. Okay, Hart was the one that would fly off the ladders. I didn't know he died like that. Wow, I guess I didn't watch the end of it. Chris Benoit was set up. Could have been. Killed his wife, and I wanted Hart died, and they still have to pay per view to go on. Wow, wow, I didn't know that. They said Hart was sacrificed and that the WA became publicly traded the next day. Not surprised. Name that pimp. Priests need nuns, doctors need nurses, so hoes need pimps. Priests need doctors need nurses. Oh, Derek, you might have me stumped. You might have me stumped. I don't remember seeing that in Willie Dynamite. That sounds like Dr. Detroit, though. Did he say that in Dr. Detroit? Was that Willie Dynamite? I think you got me stumped. Good one, though. I think you got me stumped on that one. Eddie Geronimo's death hit the hardest. Yeah, that affected a lot of people, too. He was so young. But, Derek, I think you got me stumped. C note, Derek. C note. Oh, okay. C note. Okay. C note. Oh, you got me on that one. We're gonna put that in the archive. C note. Yeah, we gotta put that in the archive. What was one pimp's name? Do Dirty. And then we had a Cadillac in the Malcolm X movie. Cadillac was one of the pimps. Remember that? Cadillac was the pimp. C note. That's a good one. That's a good one. And we're gonna have to write them all down. Write a bunch of them down because everybody that guessed it's. I'll ask some of the women, but the women probably don't follow it as much as the men do. So as I have men guessed, I'll play that game with them. We have to write that one down. Thank you. Oh, in a lot of the movies, they have the funny names. Like Starsky and Hutch had Huggy Bear. Beretta had one. I can't think of Beretta. Beretta had a Huggy Bear, but he had a different name because it was a long, thin brother that was one of the actors back then. But he was Beretta's, and him and Huggy Bear dressed almost alike. But he was Beretta's Huggy Bear. But Huggy Bear was Starsky and Hutch snitch. You don't think somebody would have saw why do these detectives keep coming around you, Huggy Bear? You don't think somebody would have figured they was a snitch? Allegedly, Nancy's ex-husband is one who took them all out. Oh, wow. I didn't know that, Valerie. I often compare my job as a nurse to a nun. Well, if you go back to the Americas, and when tribes would fight wars, the women went too because the women were the healers. I mean, the idea of the medicine man is a creation by the Westerners, by the European, because again, to take the power away from the women, but it was actually the women that were going to war too as the healers. And so, yeah, that would have been and then you even go into Europe when they would go to wars. These were the women that were more than likely nuns that would follow the armies. These were probably nuns that would follow the armies in Europe. And, worked with the surgeons and the doctors because that never went away. When you had war, you had to have somebody that did something with the wounded. A lot of times they would have battles and that they would take a break and then they would let everybody clear the dead and the injured and take them back. But yeah, I feel you. I see that. I can see that too, because at one time the nuns were the nurses. Who took them all out? Okay. DMX Illuminati sacrifice. Yeah, I just think it was a sacrifice for his fame. Snoop Dogg played Huggy Bear. Yeah, he did. There he did. Well, who do you have in mind, Sosa? Either that or faked his own death. I don't know. Yeah, Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, is a big slap in the face. Like last time I had Tasha on here, and that's why I was listening to Tasha on here before that, because I had to give some people at work, like, why are you down in her stuff? Because Tasha's talking about the mixed flame, I think is what it's called, in the early Americas. And a lot of people, and I'm like, don't keep messing with that sister. Leave that sister alone. You don't like the work, then don't listen. But to hate on her like that. Like, yeah, them arrows will come. But yeah, Dr. Quinn's medicine woman is so disrespectful. But saying Tasha brought up the point, was like, how did she learn? How did she learn about all these herbs and stuff? Like, what school did she go to in the Americas that taught her what herbs and what things to use? Because that's what she's showing. She's showing a indigenous person that could heal, taking that power away. Because she's going out in the woods getting these herbs, and that was looked at when these Puritans came over here. That's what was all about, was do not do that. Do not go get the herbs. Let God be the one that helps heal. And then later we had the Rockefellers do the same thing. Kill any natural thing. That's why they didn't want hemp. Hemp had so many more things that they could use than these harsh synthetic drugs that they want to push on us. And that's where you get your degree from. You get your degree basically from a Rockefeller Foundation. It's where you get your medicine degree. They still control that. Y'all in the chat, CJ, what's happening? Really knowledgeable, interesting to take on the son and wife, and that you're free. Then you're free. Yeah. I always learn something new. Sean say, Easy E said it's free bass and boys, and in a hood song, finally know what that means ever since you brought it to light. Oh, okay. Vietnam death was one of the most violent, dark, gruesome crime scenes you've ever seen. Who did that was people in power who had the resources to do it and get away with it. Yeah, I could understand that point. Said free base in boys. Yeah, Sean. I can dig what you're saying. They called it baseball. Like if you read the first sports person that I came across talking about it was Jabbar, and he called it baseball. And then you look at Marvin Bad News Barnes, when he played in the ABA, he was like one of the coke men, just giving it. And then when he went into the NBA, he did the same thing. He was the coke man, giving it to other teams. He was going from, I think it was 24 or 28 teams back then, less than now. And Marvin Barnes, when he come in town, he was, giving the coke to other teammates or the opposite teams. He was the coke man in the league. So yeah, but I'm not really. Did the Rockefellers help Trump pay for the Taj Mahal building? Yeah, probably so. And he and it failed. You talking about the one in Atlantic City, and it failed. He failed. Yeah. And that's the dark part of him being that's the thing that you had to look at this cat too. That he wasn't part of the system, but this was a straight up con dude. He would get people to do the work and pay him whatever. And I mean, these people would do custom work if he would pay him at all. A lot of times he would just try to tie these people up in court. So this guy, I would have liked him better in the role than I like Falling Up the Stairs Joe. But on the other hand, if you looked at that part of him, he was a cheapskate that was given a building in downtown Manhattan. Now, there's not too many people that would get a building in downtown Manhattan and not be successful. But they always kept him out in front of the public. He had no skills. He had really no real charisma, wasn't a handsome man, but yet they kept him out in the public. And that's the birther thing. The birther thing was to keep his name out in front of the public. Look now, he ain't went away. They just put his trying to get campaign money again. They just opened that back up. He has his presidential library coming online. So, he ain't went nowhere. They're keeping his name out there, and it's probably going to be a flip-flop. He's probably going to flop back in because Slow Joe probably ain't going to run again, and they're going to let Sister Girl run, and it's going to be Uncle Imbecile against Sister Girl. Was he giving it to the Bulls back in the day? They called the Coke team. Probably so. He was giving it to everybody until he got buzzed. John Hopkins got a tribute to the Rockefellers. Yeah, they do. And John Hopkins was the ones that was doing the lying in the numbers. I bet we have a woman president by 28. Yeah, you think Sister Girl will make it by then? Because Sister Girl ain't much younger than me. Well, thank you, Valerie. That's kind of you. I saw the oldest Mason Lodge in Savannah a few days ago, which isn't far from Jekyll Island. A lot of history in South Carolina and Georgia. Well, we have Denmark Vesey. Now, like Denmark Vesey would have probably been successful. But again, it makes you wonder about time travel, because I know when I time move, you be seeing other people that do it. And what is the movie? Okay, so remember in the Passion of Christ when he's walking the cross, and the devil is trying to see if he's going to take it all the way. So the devil is kind of shadowing him. Y'all remember that part? Sometime when you time move, you see somebody shadowing you too. And it makes me wonder in events like that with Denmark Vesey would have been easily the most successful revolt ever. He would have really wiped out the Europeans in that area and took the state more than likely. But you see a type of rain spell was put in there because they got flooded out. Someone, again, what did we see in the what did we see in the Nat Turner movie? You know, somebody runs to the man and tells the man the plan. But Vesey's thing is kind of interesting. That's why, you know, they had the ritual of shooting the people in the church, and then they went to give him a burger. All that was ritual. They will lose the House and Senate. Well, that was what Obama had. You know, my mother is a liberal. And this was what my mother was like, well, Obama didn't have everything. And that's a lie. Obama had the same thing we see right now. Obama had. He had both the House and the Senate. He had everything. He didn't lose it. And then we have the teabaggers, or whatever they were called, the teabaggers. They came in. They were just alive for that. I remember my cousin. He was a big teabagger, saying he's that all day. And they went away. Where'd they go this election? They weren't anywhere around. So we're going to see a replay of that. They're going to lose that power, and it's going to be split. And that's why there's going to be an excuse. Nothing can get done because it's split. But Obama went in the same way that Falling Up the Stair Joe went in. Exact same way. Why haven't we fought against the Europeans? Where'd we go? It jumped. I think the same thing, that they'll put Sister Girl in office. I think so too. Are they going to say that he's too slow and they're going to put Sister Girl in office? I don't know. But that's what it looks like. Well, you haven't fought against the Europeans after all these years, but now it's too late to do that. Well, the problem we have, and one thing that why they want to bring, this is the end game of the Chinese stuff, of the Asian stuff, is to bring in UN Chinese troops. That is the end game to this. This is what this is all about. This is man in the high castle. They want to bring in Chinese UN troops because of that very reason there. Because I don't think American troops, be it National Guard, are going to just openly shoot Americans that don't have guns. But if they bring in these nasty Chinese people, which aren't very good fighters, they got their ass kicked all over the world. Chinese people ain't successful in China. They're only successful in other places. They come here and successful, go everywhere else is successful. They ain't successful in China. If they were so successful in China, they would be there. They go other places to be successful. But that is the end game, is they are bringing all this bullshit, and they're going to say, well, we might need some help. And they bring in UN Chinese troops who would kill Americans on sight, saying they protecting the Chinese. Can Sleepy Joe finish his first term? I don't know. Obama made ISIS. Absolutely. For the first 2 years, Obeezy had everything. He did. He had everything for 2 years. And what did he do? Well, you know, he might have been a son like mine. If I had a son, he'd be like that. Well, you never had any children. Barry. Is Obama reconnected Pharaoh bloodline? He was Jewish faith, so he was a Jewish faith person, so I don't think Europeans are good at battle. It's just they're clever on mind control. Well, I mean, they got the bombs too. Don't take that away. They're control of the bombs. And what did they show in Planet of the Apes? What did they show? The Europeans can't control it. They would rather blow the world up. That is their mentality. If they can't, that's hell to them. Now, we was talking about what heaven and hell is in. That's what's hell to them. If the Europeans aren't in control, that is hell. That is hell to them. If some kind of way the people could overthrow the Jewish faith people and the rest of these Europeans, that would be hell to them. That is hell. That's the hell they speak of. That's the Dante's Inferno that they speak of. is if the people were ever in charge and not the Jewish faith people, that's who's in charge of it all. Not the Jesuits, it's the Jewish faith people. And if they're not in charge, that would be hell. That would be hell to them. Taking over Africa, I don't think good at battle. So, but that's hell. That's what they're talking about. When you talk about the end of the Bible with the 4 horsemen and all that, yeah, that is their hell. If they're not in charge, it's hell. That's what it is. If they're not in charge, it is hell. Heaven is when they're in charge. But if they're not in charge, that's hell to them. I don't know if you guys, I'm not going to mention it, but I don't know if you guys saw they took one of my videos down because they pulled a video down. I'm not going to really say what it was about, but they pulled a video down by some doctors. Some doctors put up some video. No. They pulled the video down by the governor of Georgia. They pulled his video down. He had doctors up there and they pulled the conference down. And so I put an 11-second snippet of what was said and they pulled it down. So, yeah, Sosa. But see, that makes me suspect. And I'll tell that to him. I'll tell that to him. That makes me suspect saying it's the Jesuits. That sounds suspect to me because the Vatican is over all of it. And the Vatican ain't nothing but Jewish faith people. It ain't never been Christian. They use that. But that's a guise. Christianity is a guise for them. That's who it is. Jewish faith people that live in the Vatican. So the Jesuits is under them. They ain't above them. They under them. And so that's suspect that he says that. That makes him suspect. And I would tell that to him. If you want me to call in, Zach, you can tell whoever loves Zach, tell him that. If he wants me to call in, I don't give a fuck what your numbers say. They are in charge, not the Jesuits. They run the Jesuits. The Jesuits do their dirty work. What did you say in your vid had gotten down? It was about the Georgia conference. It was about the governor of Georgia had a conference and he had some medical people on there. And one doctor said his opinion about everything. And yeah, they censored it. And so I typed my thing that YouTube censored this about one of the subjects. And they took it down. They let it went for hours, though. It was up there for hours, but they took it down. Yeah, I agree. I think the Jesuits are just Jews who converted to Catholicism. That's all what they did. I mean, the people that put hell on them was Isabella and them. Isabella and them under Inquisition put hell on them. They really did. At first, they was putting screws to their ass and kicking them out, taking their money. And that was one of the few times, other than what Hitler did, that Isabella was putting boot to ass and they was going from country to country like their book says. But a lot of them, again, conversos. That's where the word liberalism does not come from capitalism. Liberalism comes from converso, Jewish faith people, explaining why they took being Catholics instead of being Jewish faith. That was where that's where the term liberalism comes from. It was their justification of not being Jewish faith. And a lot of the people that was in the Vatican was conversos. A lot of the wealthy that we always saw. And that's why a part of the book says they never were tillers of the land. They always played musicians, actors, artisans, leather makers. They were never people that toiled with the land. They had these positions, these soft positions, these bourgeoisie positions. They are big sandwich nose. That's funny, Sosa. Opinions on the mass. There you go. That's it, Derek. You saw it? Okay. I'm glad some people got to see it. The doctrine of discovery or the Catholics. They created that. They created that. They created the doctrine of discovery. This should be on here. Because most of them, again, were conversos who they put in them positions. Read the names right here. Because all of them was influenced by the money. And so if they weren't conversos themselves, where's it at? It's in here. I forgot. I'd be putting stuff up and it goes so far back. Man, this is way back. Oh, here we go. So Pope Nicholas issued the Papae Bull Dum Divaris, and that was June 1552. And then we have Pope Nicholas IV issues the Romus Pontifex, and then we have Pope Alexander VI issues the Papae Bull Intra Catera. These edicts served as the foundation justification for the doctrine of discovery and set in place a catastrophic chain of events for indigenous people, all in the name of empire, expansion, and religious righteousness. And so we see that in King Kong. We see that when they go to Inner Earth, she claims document of discovery. She says, my father owns all this now. What do you think if they really send something to Mars? What do you think? You think they care that their vehicles might kill a type of life there? Think about that. That those vehicles going there could kill certain types of life. Do you think they care about that? Do you think they talk about that? Do you think they even consider that? That having those vehicles there could be killing life there? They would hope so. They would put extra viruses to see how they would do there. Like they've been showing the moving spiders. How we know that that's not something they put in the atmosphere if they're there? I don't think they're there, but that's how they feel. That's really how they feel. If it got so fucked up here, they would have no lack of consciousness going over there and saying they have every right to take what's there. For any planet, if they had the technology, they don't care. Soon as they go in, they own it. And, they would do the same thing they did here. Oh, we want a couple 100 acres here. Oh, we want a couple acres there. And before you know it, Pontiac was one of the few motherfuckers that tried to fight their asses. And you got Cherokee that always fought for the British, fought against Pontiac trying to sell pelts and stuff so he could buy more guns, taking them down to Mississippi and selling them to other tribes. They fought them tribes of trying to make money. So this is who they are. This is who they are. If you think that there was some type of life there, do you know they would hush that up to the American people? And if there was some doctor that says, hey, it's things there and they're killing the things, you know how quick they would kill that person? Because this is who they are. They don't care that they sent shit there that could kill something else. It is under document of discovery. It's for mankind. That is their guys. Well, if some kind of bacteria dies because we sent them there, that's okay because we're trying to discover. That's their mentality. They don't care. They do not care. They think they own that planet by landing them things there. They're taking the planet right then. If they landed there, I don't think they have. But if they landed shit there, they've already claimed it under document of discovery. It ain't went away. There's an inquisitor office in Brazil. That shit ain't went away. Right now, as I sit here, they think they own every resource on earth. And this is the Catholic Church. They own every resource on earth. They own every soul. That's the way they look at it. That is why people's asking why you want to go to the light is because of that. Because they want to suck souls. They want to keep feeding the beast, feeding their beast. But I should do my divination before I forget. Dang, I didn't realize 2 hours went in. So let me read these last few questions and I'll do my divination. I asked Eric, is there any difference between the Jews and Jesuits? He said, no, they really are the same thing. There you go. Save the link if you can for later. 8 wins. Okay. Yep. They don't care about, be honest. I showed a lot of my friends and they finally understood everything we watched. Made so much sense. They will spread the Black Plague and inject the spiders and kill the Martians. All right. So today is the 12th. So we got 13 Batoons, 0 Katoons, 8 Toons. We have, we should be 8 Uno. I can double check that. And I know we're at 12 Kin. But you can find it on my Facebook page under Brian Toby Macon. But I'll try to send it to you if I can. I'm not the most tech savvy person. Here we go. I think the Uno's right. No, 7 Uno. Yep, 7 Uno. But it is day 12. And day 12 would be ebb, human vessel, human vessel for human as a vessel for penetration of higher mind, and we have the energy coming out of the south. And so ebb would be that fractal. And again, if you want to manifest, you would get a push from the south all day Saturday. And the Toltec is called Malani. In the Toltec, in this card, we see Mawol, who is seated on top of a turtle and a snake, animal who spend their life firmly attached to the earth. This means that she is deeply rooted and connected to the earth, and her power is the power of the earth. In one hand, she holds a bowl with flowers representing the good medicine. In the other hand, she carries thorns symbolizing the bad medicine. In other words, used wisely, the power of the herbs and plants may bring life, but be used in the absence of the sacred. The same power can bring pain and death. Here we go again, the ever-present Toltec awareness of the duality in everything. The energy of the herb is not good or bad, but the way it is used. The experience produced by the use of perception-altering plants can bring learning and joy, but if these powerful substances are not handled properly, they may cause sorrow and destruction. By the same token, the extracts of plants can be used to produce medicine or poison. This is the essential meaning of the flower and the thorn. The positive meaning of Malani represents the power of the healer. As a warning signal, it represents the risk of physical drunkenness. And the sign of the healer may come to you because you need to look for healing for yourself, or because you are called to become a healer. Often messages apply to the same person. Healing, as it is meant here, encompasses the service of a modern doctor, spiritual healer, medicine person, therapist, counselor, anyone involved in supporting the healing process. You relate that one to the one that happens to be appropriate for your own situation. The archetype of the wounded healer is very relevant to understand this card. Only when you have suffered pain and recovered from the pain can you understand and support others. Your sorrows, your failure, your times of crisis, emotional pain, all of them will be your assets when you are going to support the healing in others, as long as you recovered and found peace for yourself. Then you will be ready to personify the healing authentically. The healer and the healing come together as the two sides of the same coin. The warning meaning of Malani may apply to you if you are having or are on your way to having problems related to the abuse of substances. And in this case, it is important to have your inner eyes open. All too often, users admit that they only have a problem only it was too late to resolve it. Make sure that does not happen to you. Especially careful with any drug that can be considered good or harmless. With the herb card carries a warning, it also signifies the need for healing. If Malani is warning you, you should pay attention. So again, he's a little doom and gloom on that. But another point of it is the healing aspect, because again, it can be used good or bad. It's like when you had Sigmund Freud, who pretty much was the first to really push cocaine on people. The point he missed was they found he didn't know and didn't realize, because he was a cocaine addict himself, as it was addictive. There was another doctor that didn't become addicted that kept working with cocaine and found that you can do eye surgery with cocaine. Freud missed that by being an addict. He pushed the addict part of it. Another cat kept doing science and said, this can be used in science. And if you've ever seen the blue cocaine they give you, my son had a twig on his eye at 5, 6. He was a fairly little guy still. And the nurse came in, and to take the twig out, they took that liquid cocaine, this little bottle like this, is blue. And they put it in the eye. She's like, really, this is yours. You're paying for it, but I can't give it to you. I was like, well, what if I take it? Because they said Elvis had that. That's what Elvis had. Elvis had liquid cocaine. He would just walk around with a Q-tip and put the shit up his nose because he had money like that. See? Turn this shit off and still says it's time to go to bed. They spread the black. I sent a request, Unc. I sent a request. Okay, I'll catch it. Yeah. But yeah, you can find all that. I put a lot of stuff on my page to remember it because I got 2 pages. One is just Brian making, the other one is Brian Toby make, because a lot of people didn't realize that my nickname wasn't my real name, and I've always had different names my whole life. People didn't realize. My college teammates and classmates called me different names than my name. Not very many people that went to college with me would know my real name was Brian, and my family doesn't really call me Brian. Okay, yeah, PJ, I'll accept you. Oh, I'm at 5,000 people though. So as soon as somebody drops off, I'll put you in. I forgot. I'm at 5,000 people. Elvis was about that blue sniff. Oh yeah, Elvis. Elvis was a trip. But I mean, you know, he like I saw Elvis. What did he die? 77. I want to say, gosh, 72, 73. We were fairly young. We were 10, 11. So maybe 72, 73. But one of my friends back then, his father, 72, maybe 72. His father was a big Elvis fan. He camped out at Wing Stadium and he got his tickets and we went to see him. Big guy, kind of. But everybody loved It's Just a Hunk of Burning Love. We used to skate to that at the skating rink. Hunk. And I've come from the thing where I watched all the Elvis movies. Matter of fact, in North Carolina, when there wasn't basketball, when the ACC basketball went off, that's what they played in the afternoons, was just Elvis movies. So, but, you know, comes a point where you got to monitor yourself. DMX death and energy surrounding the situation. There you go, Sean. Just like the woman who's looking for you. Just like the woman who's looking for you. Oh, rocky word. Yeah, and you have to monitor yourself on that kind of thing. I mean, think about Deshaun Watson. People say that he exposed themselves. Now, if anybody's ever had a massage, most of the time you get naked. And one thing that always cracked me up is when you would turn around, and I would never get a man to get massages. I've had men to give me therapy, but not full massage. No, I've never had a man do that for me. I wouldn't feel that. But I've always had women, and I have not had one woman, because when you have a towel around you, but when you turn around, you know, the towel comes up. Now, I haven't had one woman won't look down at your stuff. So any man could be held with that. They're saying that you exposed yourself. If you have a towel around you and it's time for you to turn around, because most of masseuse I had tell you to take all your clothes off. And so you normally are covered with a towel. So any one of them could say that. I know women could say that about me because I turned around and, you know, my stuff would show, and then I would lay back down and they put the towel back on you. So any woman could say that gives massages, that you expose yourself. Now, can you imagine this dude is just laying there like, hey, look at this, hey, yeah, no, don't rub me anymore, look at this. Come on, get out of here with that. That don't make no sense. I'm a massage therapist, and yes, but there are proper ways to drape the body and hold the penis. That's true. That's true. I'll say that is true. That is true. I'll agree with you there. And I'm not like when I would turn and my stuff would show at times, wasn't no just blatantly I'm ripping the thing off. It's like I'm trying to hold the towel on me and I'm turning around. So, but just to say that he just, hey, here we go, you know, I don't know. They shaming Watson. Yeah, they absolutely shaming him. Probably ain't gonna let him play. I mean, there's nothing wrong with nudity. Exactly, there's nothing wrong with it. So, but think of it like this: what Watson did compared to what Adrian Peterson did. Remember, Adrian Peterson's son was killed, sacrificed, and then they saying because he switched his son, he spanked his son, and we don't even know where the whelps came from. Like that many whelps. And they took millions from him and put him out the season. So with all this coming, and I don't think the criminal charges have been filed, but how's he gonna play next year? How's he gonna play? They sure would want to get rid of him. Wonder if Watson going to be able to come back from this one? Yeah, probably not. Ladies not innocent. They always looking at dudes' junk. Sometimes. I've had met ladies that look down at me, like while I'm looking at their boobs, they looking at my package. So, yeah, there's people that look at you like that. Yeah. But this is sisters. This is sisters for you. If you're dressed kind of okay, a sister will look down at your shoes. The sister will see what kind of shoes you're wearing, and that's a Jordan thing. That's not an alligator thing. That is a Jordan thing. That is not alligators. That comes from wearing Jordans, where women would look at your shoes. But I've had women look like I've been in stores and I've had women check me out, and then they'll look at my shoes to see what kind of shoes. And that's a Jordan kind of thing. That ain't when you wore Gators, they just looked at your outfit. Women didn't look at your shoes. But there's a generation of women that are raised, they'll look to see if you got on Jordans or what kind of shoes you got on. Oh, wasn't the free a nipple a movement? Them joggers, baby. It's nature. They always said Adrian was worshiping the sun's private area. What? I never heard that. Wow. It's a clean thing. There you go. What do they say? That what did she put? The gray joggers, them joggers. There's a name of it, gray joggers. They call it this gray jogger season. Gray jogger season. Well, yeah, but it's not a funny thing with the Jordans. You get a certain age woman. Now, any women in the 40s, if you in your 40s, that's a thing you do. I want to be told no by any woman in their 40s if that's not a thing for your generation. That you don't look at a dude's shoes to see if he got Jordans or a type of acceptable tennis shoes. But that's the thing, that when young women would see me moving, because I've always dressed okay. Unless I'm in the crib, you won't really catch me slipping too much. The other day I wore, my son bought me a shirt and it's a little tight. And so they got me, they was capping on me. Not my son that bought the shirt, and it's stretchy, but the one that was big face was just in the thing. He was getting me like, yeah, you got your big belly with that shirt on. Hey, look for that bounce, Sean. I just look to see if they are clean. There you go. That's funny. But I find out when young women check me out, that's what they look at, kind of shoes I wear. It's like my ex is 47. Well, my daughter's mother's 42, but my ex-wife, I think she just turned 47, and she hated when I would wear the Nike Monarch shoes, which are some of the most comfortable shoes Nike has ever made. They've got the air zoom through the whole foot. Very comfortable shoes, but they're called old man shoes, but very comfortable. She's like, don't even get the black pair. Woman called it Eggplant Friday. That's funny. Eggplant Friday. Oh, that's funny. Just look there. They might tell what type of work he does or if he works at all. There you go. Eggplant Friday. That's funny. True, will take, even if shoes are clean, doesn't it mean they work? Could mean they just sell. They sell as a job. That's a possibility too. They just sell as a job. That's a possibility too. But like when you have Gators on, they don't even like it. It's looked as old manish. Like you wear dress shoes, it's kind of looked as old manish, because dress shoes, you can get a tennis shoe type of dress shoe now. Even you can get a tennis shoe Gator, but younger women look as dress shoes as old manish, especially like Gators or Stacy's or wingtip type of shoes. They don't really look at that as old manish kind of shoe. The Monarchs are the all-time selling Nike shoe. From the jump when they came out with that shoe, it has an all air zoom. That's what made the Jordans the different type of shoe. It came with that air zoom. That's no other shoe had the sponginess of it at the time. That's what made it different, was the air zoom. Then later they came up with the Max Pocket. I look for the matching belt and shoes. Okay, okay. Jessie says she want to see the matching belt and shoes. Well, I would have the gaiters on with the matching gaiter belt back in the day. That's why my son talking about these belts that cost money. There's always been belts around, but that's what you did is you bought the alligators with the matching belt. And a lot of times it would have that little that Bellantier would have the matching alligator on the belt. But yeah. And then you could even go further and had a coat, the gator vest. That's how Detroit did it. Well, I wear steel toes. Monarchs. I'm surprised. Yeah, they're but a lot of you see like look, they call them mall walkers. That's another name they call monarchs. They're called mall walkers because if you see people, I know at one time you would see people walk in the malls. And a lot of them would wear the Monarch shoes because they've been one of the all-time comfortable walking shoes. I still like them. I still wouldn't mind having a pair because they're, again, air zoom unit in there in the insole. Very comfortable shoe, but not very fashionable. Not very fashionable. Not very fashionable at all. And Jordans on the day off. There you go. And Jordans on the day off. Wearing steel toes makes you like wearing ankle weights. Makes your legs feel really, you put on wear steel toes all day and then you go with the different shoes and it's like you had ankle weights. You know that feeling like when you wear ankle weights, it made your legs feel really light. Yeah, I'm into the work boots. There you go. She said, Summer Queen says she's into the work boots. That's funny. Well, I've already said what I love. All my women know when we go in the bedroom, one thing she has to have is pink pumps. Pink pumps. Every time you got to wear pink pumps. And there's no better look when the pink pumps are in the air. That to me is one of the greatest fantasies is holding a woman's leg up in the air while she's wearing pink pumps. That is my thing. Or pink pumps on my shoulders. I like that as well. Muhammad Ali ran in work boots. Yeah, that would kill my legs. That would kill my legs. I watched those and I don't know how he did it. How did he run in those boots? I couldn't have did it. When you wear sneakers after work, it's like crazy light. Chanel says I have to add those to my collection. Well, that's my thing. And this is what's funny is one of my sons found one of my ex's pink pumps and he was walking around the house acting like they was guns and she had to grab them from him. She's like, give me those damn things. He's like, here, these are guns. She's like, give me those damn shoes. But yeah, that is my thing. Pink pumps. Yes. That's one of my requirements. And I guess you could say it's a little S&M when they bind their legs behind you with the pink pumps. Yes, that's a slight bit of S&M, but that's acceptable in my book. That's acceptable because when you put them on, they're not supposed to come off till we're both done. That's kind of the agreement. So no matter how rough it gets, you have to keep them on. So you get penalized for not keeping them on. Oh yeah, pink pumps. That goes back years and years. I don't even know where I came up with that, but that goes. But you can ask my ex. All my ex have had their own pair of pink pumps. Yeah, and I've broken a pair or two. I like to manicure the feet. Got to have nice looking feet. Kind of obvious with the name choice. There you go. There you go. I can feel that. Because I know my stuff gets rough. That's one thing about getting old. It's like when I was younger, my toes always got calluses. But now as I've got older, it's my heels. So I have to really work on my heels. And I go in to get my heels done. And I try my best to do them myself. So get me grabbing my pearls. Got me grabbing my pearls. That's funny. But yeah, that goes back years ago. That's something years ago. All my women have had those. That's kind of a requisite. So any future ones, if you're watching, you know I'll buy them for you and you can pick them out. But they got to be pink. And they got to be pumps. I can't walk in pumps. I'm a size 5, too little top and heavy. And cruel world. Well, you won't need them to walk, honey. You won't need them to walk. That's the beautiful thing of my situation. You won't never have to walk in them. Most of the time you'll be laying down or on your knees with them. See? A little better.
You ain't got to walk nowhere. You just got to have them. So yeah, there's no walking in them. It ain't this. These boots are made for walking. I love doing feet. All you got to do is scrape the dead skin off after soaking them in the tub or taking a shower. Keeps them nice and soft. There you go. I'm sorry, I didn't want to offend you. I was kind of like tailored what I said, but I didn't want to offend anybody. Oh, but yeah, that's been my thing for a long time. Used to be a song, something like that too. Maybe that's where I got it from. Seemed like the Time made a song about pink pumps. I can't remember, but that's where I got it from. And I can remember being surprised. One of my girls, I came home, my oldest daughter's mother, and I came home and she had like the pink gown and she had the pink teddies underneath, but then she had the pink pumps. And I was like, I know what's on your mind, honey. So that's kind of where we go with it. I could tell you, old pimp, you stick with it. Oh yeah, that's a must have. That's a must have for me, even in my own game. Well, guys, I'm gonna have to tie it up. I've got a young one that's gonna be talking about, Dad, will you get up now? And she'll wake up at 7. She'll wake up at 7 because it is 2:30 my time. Never to walk in the pumps. Never had to walk in the pink pumps. Yeah, you don't have to. In my world, you don't walk in them. No, you, at the most on your knees wearing them, but you won't have to walk in them. No. Well, thank you, Sean. Well, guys, as you know, I always end with Eshawn's poem, and so I will say it tonight. I'm not a New York rapper or a LA gangbanger. I'm just an old school Detroit crack slinger. This has been the Chocolate Mountain Show. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this old man in this chair in Minnesota, where it was cold today and rainy. And it's cold and rainy right now. But thank you, everybody, till we meet again.